Morning, Matt.
Good morning, Della. How are you?
How are you?
Doing good. Or should I say doing well? Is that proper grammar?
I think so, but people say it the other way all the time. It's just the way we are these days, I think.
I guess. Yeah. Well, hi, Medi.
Hi,
Hello.
Maddie.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
Doing very well. I'm
Nice
glad
to
we
hear
were able
that.
to get you a link to join in.
Yeah, I'm very glad, and I am very happy about the last critic. So,
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, that's excellent. You know, when you can make progress on your portrait and feel good about that progress, that's
right.
wonderful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And thanks for doing this.
my pleasure. And I'm thankful for Della here for helping out.
Mhm.
Yeah, Della and Donna do so much in the All Access group and Ella in the Realistic Acrylic Portraits group as well, just keeping everything flowing well and moderating and making sure the group is a great place for people to be. And just
It's so
encouraging.
much fun to be
Yeah,
part of this group. It's just great.
great.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll probably have a few more people join in a bit. Um, oh yeah, let's get this cloud recording going just in case. There we go. I think we'll have a few more people joining as we have quite a few critiques up for today. Seven. We'll try to do seven if we can, but we'll see. We'll just do as many as we can.
That would be good.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hello. My
How are you doing,
Hey.
Kim?
doing good. Doing
Oh,
good.
good. We can hear you. I was just wondering if we couldn't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Excellent. Well, did everyone have a good 4th of July or Canada Day?
4th of July. Great.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, my family and I, we got together and it was a great time. We were able to have some good food, good conversation, watch some fireworks at the end, and um, nobody lost any fingers.
Oh, dear. That's always
Mhm.
scary, isn't it?
You know, you never know when you have younger kids involved, but no, it was all good. They have those little snappers, you know, and that's the kids just love those little snappers, right?
Yeah, they think they're doing something.
Yeah. And then at the end of the whole thing, there's all those little pieces of paper and whatever on the ground, the gunpowder.
Mhm.
Do a little cleaning. Hi, Donna.
Hello, how's everybody today?
Good.
Good, good, good.
How are you doing?
I am doing well, doing well.
All right, great.
Yeah, is today the last day for these ones, for the Thursday ones, Matt?
I think so. I think so. I mean, next week I might do a bonus critique, but we'll just have to see where things are at. But this would be, other than that, this would be the last day. So yeah. So it's just a matter of schedules and seeing where people are at with the process and that kind of thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, well, I'm glad to have you guys here. Let's begin. We might have a couple people filter in. We did have quite a few people post their image for critique, but we have the recording as well, so that's fine too. Um,
Can you
Donna,
add me as co-host, Matt?
yes, thank you. You know, this at this time in the morning, I need all the help I can get. There we go. I don't really get rolling until maybe about 11 o'clock. That's when I'm really I'm feeling awake.
Well, and it's an hour earlier for us here, Matt.
Well, there you go. Well, I don't know if you guys drink coffee or tea or what you guys need to get going, but
What,
anyway.
what's happened to my video?
Oh,
There we go. I'm back, I think. Yep.
There it is. Okay, well, let's begin, guys. Thank you for joining. Smaller group today, but it's fine. We have plenty of people here to help us with the critique. And I'm glad you guys are here. You guys are important. And I would just like to open up with a quick word of prayer, and then let's dive in. We'll chat a little bit, and then we'll get into the critiques. So, Father, thank you for this opportunity to meet with the artists today and to be able to help them with their work. Lord, I'm thankful for the technology that makes it all possible. Thank you for just what you're doing here with this portrait challenge and many artists all over the world taking it and growing in their skills and their confidence in portrait painting and being able to call themselves artists and just venturing into the skill, and some that have done art for a while, just wanting to get better at it. But I just pray that you would bless this meeting and help us to encourage and to give tips to improve our work, and that the artists would come away from this meeting with a renewed sense of confidence and clarity and have everything they need to finish their portrait well. So we ask this blessing in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So again, thank you guys for taking your time to join here today. And just want to open it up for a little bit. We have only a few people on screen, so we don't have to worry about talking over each other. And I do want to also say thank you, Della and Donna, for moderating today and just your support in the group, just being here, lending your encouragement, your expertise, and then all of your skills and just assisting and making the group a great place to be, both the All Access group and the Realistic Acrylic Portraits group. So thank you again for being here, Donna and Della.
You're
My
very
pleasure.
Yeah, it really is. We have a wonderful group, and I've like checked out lots of different art groups online, and there's nothing quite like the All Access group that we have going. It is such a gift. I am so thankful that I happened upon it, Matt, and I'm glad to do anything. And I know Della feels the same way. It is really an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I actually, Della, I had mentioned to you that I would take the lead, so we were on the same week. But I have a very noisy bird today, so I may need to mute. So I think that if you start on lead, that might be a good idea till I get him calmed down. He's not a morning quiet bird, apparently. Sorry about that.
Sure.
All right. No worries. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Donna and Della, and Mehdi, Kim, Maddie, good to have you here. Just like to open it up if you guys would like to share anything. How is the process going? How do you feel now after last critique we had 2 weeks ago and then today? Anything you'd like to share about the process, feel free right now.
I'm really happy with everything I've learned so far. I mean, it is so different, and I feel like I've expanded in the way I can do things, and I would not be this far without you. So it's and with everybody's help, I'm still working on my granddaughter. I think I may have her, but it's it's been great, and I appreciate it more than you might know. So
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Kim. Anyone else?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so last time after the critic, I told you that I was so afraid to put some colors on the skin, especially on the face. So I got that step, one more step further, and then I got rid of that, and I started doing some colors. It's not perfect or anything. I know that I messed up to some extent, but now I'm a little more confident that, okay, I can do the skin tones. It's not there yet, but you can see that. So I'm very thankful for that.
Wonderful. That's great. Yeah, skin tones are such a challenge. So when you can
Yes.
really get the skin tones down. It makes you feel so good about your portrait.
Mhm.
Yeah, excellent. All right, well, let's,
Messed up.
oh,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead, Donna. I'm
I
sorry.
was just gonna say, and when you say you messed up, to me, what I hear is I learned. Because
That's
what we
true.
learn. We
Yeah.
learn the most when we feel like we've messed up. If we happen to do everything correct, I used to teach adults, and I would say to them, if you happen to do everything correct, you really haven't learned anything because it might have been a fluke. But if you make a mistake and have to correct that mistake, then you know what you're doing.
Right.
You know that you know how to do what you got done. So I think making mistakes when you're learning is a gift. I think it really helps solidify the learning. And then it's not a fluke. And the next time you go to do it, you actually know what you're doing. So bravo, good for the mess up. Sorry, good thing.
That's good.
Yes, and just look at my shirt here.
Oh, that's lovely.
There we go.
Bob
There you
Ross knew what he was saying.
Yeah.
My boys always bug me about. I'm probably the only person I know that is not a Bob Ross fan, and my boys give me such a hard time, and they go, "Oh, the arrogance of thinking that you aren't a Bob Ross fan." But we used to mock him. I actually dressed up as him one year for Halloween as a mocking kind of thing, and now it's coming back to haunt me. So anyway.
Yeah, I love Bob Ross. I mean,
Yeah,
I
most
used to
people
watch
do.
him as a kid and just was so relaxing. So yeah.
I was very cynical. I was very critical of his little happy trees.
Yeah. It's
I
a different style, but yeah, just his personality and the way he got
Yeah.
people into art, you know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
No
let's get
mistakes.
started.
What's
yeah.
that?
Let's get started.
Let's get started. Thank you, Della. Okay, let's dive in. All right, so let's pull everything. Okay, here we go. All right, just one second. Let's get it on today's. All right, can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, let's begin with, yeah, Kim. Now, is this Kimberlyn? Is that what you go by too? Right?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure we're talking about the same Kim here. Kimberlyn, Kim. Okay. Why don't you go ahead, Kim, and tell us about your painting and what you've accomplished, how we can help you make it even better.
I just lost my screen here a second. I still need to get the colors blended in a little bit more on and try to smooth out the dress and the teeth. Trying to get the teeth. There we go. Okay, and the teeth to not be so toothpick looking.
So what looking?
A little bit. I got them a little bit where they look like they need to go to the dentist and have them cleaned,
Oh,
you know, and just to kind of get it to where the coloration, her coloration it's getting close, but do I add white? Do I add blue? Do I add, to get the coloration right? And I think I think I've got the eyes in the right spot now. That was a plus.
mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, Kim, great job. Really, really nice job in this portrait. Done fantastic at the colors, the value structure, the nuances are incredible. Now the nuance, the sense of gradation, that gradual shifting from light to dark in her forehead is just phenomenal. And I really like the fact that you have some warmer tones. I can see you got just a little bit of maybe an Indian yellow or raw sienna warmer tint on that highlight, and that really brings it out nicely. And then you have a great sense of, the contrast with the shadows on the right side of the face. And overall, the likeness is very good, and good sense of tonal value contrast in the whole image, where you've got the clothing appropriately dark, and then the palette stands out as lighter, and the hair, you got a nice sense of the form and kind of the waves and little curls there. So I think this is a portrait you really can be proud of.
How do we pinken up the face? I guess that's the word. Pink, has a little more of a pink color.
Boy, I don't know. When I look at it on my screen, that looks really close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think these skin tones look very, very close. So I wouldn't really make adjustments there. I mean, there's maybe a little more of a slightly more saturated red-orange tint in her neck, possibly on this cheek, but I mean, overwhelmingly, that's very nicely done. And what's more important really than color is value. And then what's more important than value is form, getting that sense of proportion. And, so there's a couple areas with the value structure that you could adjust it a little bit, maybe a little bit of form work on her mouth and her eyes. Let's just take a look at the mouth. And we have Della here, our mouth expert.
Yeah.
Never gonna live it down, Della. You are though.
That's okay. We love it.
So jump in, Della, if you'd like to. As a matter of fact, why don't you go ahead, Della? Would you like to say something?
Sure. What I see right off the bat is on the left side, her upper lip is a little bit low.
Mm-hmm.
And I think her mouth is a bit too wide. I think you could just come in a little bit on the very corner of her mouth as well.
Mm.
I'm thinking on the left side,
Yep,
Matt, right
yep.
there. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But gosh, you have really nailed this. It is looking so good. And it's just a little adjustment on the mouth. And I think if you could somehow lighten the lines between her teeth a bit,
Mm-hmm.
by making the teeth a little bit wider, just a touch. It doesn't take much.
Okay.
Then they wouldn't look so I don't know what you call it. I'm not sure what you called it when you said you weren't happy with it, but it's just that the dark lines are a little too thick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But gosh, it's good. You just really, I think on the bottom lip there, it could come down just a little bit where Matt is exactly.
So show that bottom tooth a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean the face, the eyes and the mouth, I mean, that's going to make the person and get
It's so
their
true.
expression. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that, Della. So in terms of, let me just clear this out. In terms of some of the form, like her jawline is a little bit rounder in the reference photo, a little fuller right here. So that's a little bit of a shift you could make if you want to, really capture her likeness.
okay.
And it would be a matter of matching the skin tone opaquely using, titanium white, pyro orange, raw sienna, and burnt sienna. And then just going over this and kind of filling it out a little.
Okay.
The other thing would be her eye. The shape is just a little bit different in the reference photo. Also, the eyebrow comes up a little bit more right here. So we're getting into more of minutia and smaller details, but when you've done such a good job in the portrait, now you can get into some of these little finicky details that can really add value and make the portrait even better. But just lifting up the eyebrow a little bit here, using some skin tone, again, right there, semi-opaquely, at about a 50 to 75% ratio of paint to matte medium. So like 75% paint, 25% matte medium, because you're going to need it to be more opaque to cover that dark. And then just lifting the eyebrow up a little bit will help her likeness. The other thing I see is the eye comes up a little bit higher, so just the eyelid actually just open a bit wider, and you can do that by making a dark brown, with raw umber dark and a bit of ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson, and just lifting this up a bit right here. And then if you can get a small, like a thin, 10-aught brush, or this is the skinniest brush you have, and just kind of lift up that line for her eyelid, that'll help too.
Okay.
So don't erase anything. It's just kind of painting over it and enhancing what you have. Right. I call it adding visual weight to that area.
So when I shrink the mouth, that's going to give me the distance I need also from the fold there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the nasolabial fold is a little close to the mouth, and like Della said, to narrow it. Yeah, that'll help. You bet.
Okay.
So, boy, but great job on this. And is this your first portrait?
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Just phenomenal for your first portrait. Yeah. So I can see you doing many portraits now and really enjoying it. All you have to do, Kim, is just do one good portrait, and then you can carry that on again and again. So great job in this. Everything else, I think, you could probably darken the values in the folds a little bit. And I think I touch on that in the last lesson, or I will touch on it a little bit. Maybe darken these shadows a little bit here as well. So, just some things like that. So use raw umber dark, ultramarine blue, maybe a tiny bit of Indian yellow, and just darken some of those shadows.
Okay.
All right, but great job in this.
I appreciate it.
You bet. Well, looking forward to seeing the final painting. Let's move on next to, wow, look at all those annotations. Let's move on next to Tanya. All right. I don't know. Is Tanya in the meeting? We had somebody join late.
I don't think so, Matt.
Okay. All right. Let's help Tanya with this. So, well, Tanya, great job on this portrait. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Just strange things happening with the computer. Okay, Tanya, fantastic job in this. So here, a different portrayal. I love the different portrayals that everybody brings out. Here you have, very vibrant color, and you've really accentuated her beauty. I like the waves in her hair. The reflections in the eyes are nice. The glaze work is nice too. You have a good sense of some of the optical mix of these different colors. So that's really good. One of the things I'm seeing though, Tanya, that could help is just really paying attention to the overall value key. And that is where we, look at the image as a whole, and we're comparing the values to each other. So, we're noticing, for example, that her shirt is darker than her neck and the face, and her shirt or dress is darker than her palette, and then we notice that her hair is darker than the background, things like that. So, currently you have her skin tones on her face darker than her clothing. And, if she had a darker complexion and the clothing was lighter, then that could technically be possible, but it's not representing faithfully what we see in the reference photo. So I just want to point that out to you, so that as you're working on your portrait, you're really kind of looking at the big picture. And again, I've mentioned this in the past, but we want to take what is realistic in front of us, and then we break it down into abstract in our minds, and then we reconstruct it as realistic. And you really kind of have to do that to get the realism. All right, so to improve, you could darken her clothing, put several glazes on it to get that clothing darker than her skin tones. So I would just continue on with the same colors you're using. They're looking good. And just get that darker. And then let's take a look at the face quick. Della, would it be possible for you to take a look at Facebook and see if there are any comments she might have made when she submitted this image?
I definitely will, Matt.
Thank you so much. And while Della's doing that, I'm just going to take a look. And hey, if you guys have anything you would like
No.
to comment on. Nothing?
I don't see any notes. She's just put her picture in.
Okay. If there's anything you guys would like to comment on, feel free to raise your hand. We'll get your comments in here. So Tanya, I love the eyes, how you've gotten kind of that jewel-like effect of the, the darker area and then the reflection on top and a little lighter on the other side of the iris. Very nicely done. To improve, her eyebrows could be just a bit darker and a little straighter right here. That upper eyelid fold crease could be pronounced a little bit more. The shadows on the right side of the face could be a little darker. She can use some raw umber dark and some of the mixes I talk about in the lessons. Nasolabial fold could have a little more of a curve on it. I'm going pretty quickly here, but you'll be able to watch this again in the recording and replay it and all that stuff. The mouth corner could come up a little on the left-hand side just to get that shape properly. Right side of the mouth, you could glaze over the teeth to get it a little darker on that side to show the curve of the jaw structure. And then some darker values right in here to kind of show the area under her teeth, or I should say the top row of her teeth going over the bottom row. So those are some of the things that I see could improve the image.
Matt, could I add to that and say that the bottom lip on the left side is a little bit too low?
Yes, thank you, Della. Thank you for weighing in on it. Bottom lip is what again? A little bit too low. Okay.
The mouth is open a bit too far.
Okay.
So on the left side, I think it could come up a bit.
Okay.
Especially the very bottom of the bottom lip.
Oh, right here.
Right there, yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah, thank you. That would help. Yeah, to bring that up. So just bring that up a little bit. So make sure zoom out. Yeah, so overall I think it's just a matter of the value structure being changed a little bit, darkening the shadows and the hair more on this side, even though she is kind of blonde with redhead kind of tint. That hair needs to be darker on that side because it's in shadow. So use some glazes to do that, and I think that'll really help. So Tanya, I hope this all helps, and great job. Thanks for sharing your portrait with us on the critique. Okay, now let's move on next to Mehdi. So Mehdi, go ahead and tell us about your painting, what you've been working on, and how we can help you make it even better.
I think there is too much pink on her, especially on her forehead to the top. To one side, and that's I think because of that there is something wrong. Then her lip on the bottom lip is a little off. Then and she's not smiling as beautiful in my picture. The smile is a little closed look, or it's not as open as in the original, the reference photo.
Okay. Yeah, well, Mehdi, I think you've done a great job on this. It's come a long ways, and the value structure is very, very nicely done. I love the contrast, the richness of the tones. I can see many layers, a lot of time being put into it. So, you have a good sense of the contrast between her clothing and the palette. The palette has a nice, beautiful, rich tone. It looks so much like wood. So great job on that. The hair, it's got a very nice dark shadow there. I really like that. And I do like the smoothness of the blending that you have on her face, especially the forehead. So that's very nicely done. So, you know, you'd mentioned a couple of things, you know, that could use improvement. I'm just going to give you a few comments. I think the first thing would be, you know, just to really look at her eyebrow and that spatial relationship between the eyebrow and the eye. Just kind of lifting it up a little bit higher and at a slighter angle would help, just to bring out her likeness. Currently, you have the eyebrow, you know, kind of straight at a straight angle with the eye, and it's too low. So if you can raise it up, and the way to do that would be, let's say, to use, you know, some skin tone and go over this area, and then just kind of repaint above it. Don't white anything out or start glazing over. I never recommend that at this stage in a painting. Rather, I just recommend to use more of an opaque layer to cover over and adjust it. The eyebrow on the right side could be raised up a little bit. And the shape of the eye is a little bit rounder, and her eyelash kind of comes out a little bit more on this side. And then another thing too, just for, you know, this portrait and future portraits, is to really look at the tonal value. Like, notice that the white of the eye, called the sclera, is darker on the right side than the left. See that difference in value?
Yes.
And it's really pronounced on the right eye, and just a major difference. So you'll want to darken that sclera, because see, the eye is round and that whole part is in shadow, and so it's not going to be white, it's going to be more of a gray.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and that'll just.
And okay, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. Do you have a question?
I did not put any eyelashes yet because I was sure that, you know, there is something wrong with this. So how do we do that? How do I do that? Just using a brush and just.
Yeah, so, you know, I haven't really even gotten into the eyelashes on my portrait. I've suggested them.
Okay.
It's all part of the process. Like, rather than thinking I'm painting eyelashes, all during the process of painting, I'm just putting in little, like, sections of color, little shapes. So I see this as a shape, I see that as a shape, and it's more important to get those shapes in rather than getting in the eyelashes. Because when you think in your mind, I need to paint eyelashes, inevitably what you'd end up doing, or what I often see happening, not saying you'd absolutely do this, but we tend to go and just paint what we think looks like eyelashes, something like that, right? And then what they tend to be is they're just too pronounced, and they don't have the actual character that, you know, we see in real life. Where in real life, eyelashes kind of do different things. They come together in different ways. They're not all spaced evenly. So instead, I just encourage you just to see those shapes and get a thicker area right up here, thicker area right up here, maybe a thicker area right there. Just getting that shape. And that would just be a darker skin tone is all it would be. And then, you know, when you finish up, you could maybe put in a little bit of the eyelashes, but yeah, I wouldn't focus on that. Okay, I just want to make sure we're getting you guys. Looks like we have somebody who would like to share.
Primus, go ahead.
Matt, would you scroll down to both pictures to the top of the head?
Okay. Yep, go ahead, Primus.
That forehead, between the top of the head and forehead, seems to be more compressed than what it is in the photograph, the reference. That's the line. Now draw the full forehead. Sketch in your forehead in there, that curve. And the space from your first line to that line seems to be more compressed in there than what's in the painting. So some volume, some texture would probably bring that forehead down some.
Okay, got it.
Number two, sorry, if you draw a line, this is my left. If you draw a straight line from the highlight in the eye down the face to the navel labia fold. You'll often do me this way, so I get something to do somebody else. Now do it over there. You kind of curve there. There you go. Draw the other one in. See the difference? If you widen that smile on my left, if you widen that smile and nasal labial fold out a little further, that will uncompress that smile.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very good. Thank you, Primus.
Sure.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, yeah, now I can see that, yes. Yeah, I
Excellent.
knew that in my picture, in my painting, she looks a little bald, like lost some hair from the side, top. But I didn't know how to fix it. Now it makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Primus. Primus is one of our all access students as well. I'm glad he could join today.
Okay.
All right. Della, go ahead.
I was just going to mention her chin looks like it could be just a little bit more pointy.
Okay, that is true.
Yep. Okay. So kind of bring it up a little bit. Taper it in a little bit, maybe on this side. Okay. Thank you, Della.
And it looks like Donna has a comment.
You do on the same thing on the chin, while they're there on the chin. If you look closely at the reference photo, you'll notice that that highlight blends into a slightly darker tone before you get to the bottom. And you've got your highlight going all the way to the line that you have for her chin, for her jaw. And so if you transition, that'll give that roundness instead of it being just a squared off jaw. There will be a roundness, and we'll see that that chin is actually curving under.
Okay, yeah, I can see that now.
Great. Thank you for pointing that out, Donna. That's good. As we
I have a
step,
question. Is the space between the nose and the upper lip is a little too little shorter?
oh,
I don't know.
well,
Maybe.
yeah, it appears to be, you know, if we draw a line kind of corresponding with the bottom edge of the lip, nose, and then the chin. And I just like to draw these little cross marks like this, because when you draw a vertical line, you can then see the ratios, and that really helps. So I will do this sometimes to double check myself. So yeah, it looks like maybe that distance is a little compressed. But it doesn't look like you have a lot of room. You know, if you bring up the nose, then this ratio here would be disturbed.
Right. Yeah.
You know, maybe you could bring up the nose just a little bit, because, you know, otherwise you'd have to bring the lip down, or, you know, also maybe bring the chin up. But yeah, I mean, technically, you know, the mouth, you'd want to bring the mouth down a little bit, and maybe bring the nose up a bit, just to accommodate that room. Yeah, and the other thing too, the nose should be just a little wider right here, the nose wing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that nasolabial fold stops right there, and then the angle changes. Right now you have that angle going straight. Just want to adjust that nose wing, make it a little wider right here. Okay. So Mehdi, I hope all this helps.
Yes, definitely it will help.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work. It's looking fantastic. All right, let's continue on here. Let's go next to. All right, let's go next to Sarah. Sarah, go ahead and tell us about your painting and how we can help.
Well, I'm noticing that up there on the forehead, it needs to probably be a little rounder, probably. And then when he pointed that out, the guy he was pointing out that should line up with the eye. It's not on that side, but it is on this side. So I just noticed that that needs to be darker.
Hmm.
And let's see, probably I'm really having a problem with the hands. I almost want to take a picture of me holding the canvas. I mean, holding the palette and doing my fingers here because I just don't like the way those look. I mean, it's not coming out like hers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with that. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Sarah, I really like the vibrance of the color, and I like just the shadows on the face and the smile. You've really given her a nice sense of alertness and joy, and I like that. Let's give you some help with the hands here, and it's something we haven't really looked at too much yet today in the critique. So I think this will be beneficial for others as well. But in the structure of the hands, what we have going on is, the knuckles and the way she's grasping this palette. We see only 2 fingers in front, of course, and we see some foreshortening of the segments of the finger. So here you've got the whole length of that index finger being compressed or foreshortened. And so you want to have kind of a lump up here, so to speak, to show that.
Okay. Okay.
All right, then the knuckle sticks out. Then we've got this other one kind of curved in. Here you've got the middle finger again, a little foreshortened. We can see this difference in the lighting to show that. So, you want to bring that out. The shadow that the finger is casting onto the palette is very, very important. So that's going to really place that finger and ground it and give it a greater sense of reality. There's also some separation here between that index finger, the tip of it, and then the middle finger. So if you can bring that down a little bit, that's going to help. So that's what I would see. You can add the shadow here, with your raw umber dark and so forth, and then titanium white and maybe a little bit of raw sienna to get this part in up here. Just do it opaquely. And that's really going to help on that hand. Now, for the other hand, I think basically it would be bringing out these sides here. So again, we're seeing the foreshortening of the top part of the finger. We've got, the lower segments here, right there and there. This is a segment, that's a segment. We're just kind of following the value structure. And what we want to do is, again, use some semi-opaque paint and bring this out here to show the full form. While you're glazing, the arm, that's just, that's common that you're going to cut off the fingers there, the knuckles, but you can bring it back out again opaquely.
Okay.
So I hope that helps.
Yes, it does.
All right. Excellent. Would anyone else, or I should say, would anyone like to give some comments to Sarah? Any encouragement, any tips on how to improve it? Feel free to share. All right.
I think this is looking great. I think you're doing a really, really good job. And
Thank
once
you.
you get some more darkening, you need just some more darks on her clothes and the shadows. And I think you did mention at the top that her forehead needs to come down a bit.
This needs to be rounded, I think. Kind of
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, you've got it just a little bit too high on that side,
Yeah.
on the right
Yeah.
side. But gosh, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. And I just need to highlight kind of, when you darken there, you darken down here too. So.
And on her
Right.
mouth, could you bring her right side of her mouth on
Yeah.
the bottom down just a little bit?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for that, Della. Shadows on the eyebrows could be made just a little bit darker as well.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I have one thing on the neck on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
If you bring the shoulder of the neck, make the neck a little longer, and then it would bring yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that thins
Yeah.
it out, because I did the same thing on mine.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you for that, Kim. All right. So, Sarah, any other questions on this portrait?
I think that's mostly it. I know I did have problems with with that neck right there, but maybe that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's mostly that. Yeah, that color I thought was that color, but it's not. Just
Yeah.
have to do that little index card and paint it and check it.
Use the value checker tool. You bet.
Mhm.
Hopefully you guys all have the value checker tool, but if not, send me an email or message me and I can get it to you. But yeah, just continue to add more glazes. I think you're doing great.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for sharing this, Sarah. Great job. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback for Sarah. Let's continue on. Take a look at Lilia's portrait. All right. So here we go. Lilia, I don't know if she's in the meeting today.
She had trouble getting in. She said, I'm not sure what the issue was, but she did make a note that she couldn't find where to join.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have the recording for her. So anyway, Lilia, great to see your portrait here. And I really like the smoothness again of the gradations. We see that a lot with many of these portraits, and you're doing well with that. I like the dark contrast on her hair, how her face stands out against that. Now, to improve, just want to take a look at some of the structures here. Now, did Lilia leave any comments in Facebook, Della?
Let me check now.
Okay, and I'll just kind of dive in
She
here.
said, I posted the portrait yesterday afternoon. I'm still struggling. I could not find the webpage or email link. That's about all she says. Yeah, she just can't get in, she says. I'm not sure why, but no, she doesn't really have anything about what she would like corrected or looked at. Oh, just a minute. She's got a few comments in here. I find the skin tone is too oblique and lacked of transparency. Need help to improve. Her fingers are too dark in color. I tried several times to paint it lighter, yet the result is not good. We'll keep trying. It is hard to paint fingers too for realism. There are areas that I do not see myself. Welcome any comments and critique for improvement.
All right. Okay, well, thank you for that, Della. We'll try to address as many of those things as we can. So regarding the skin tones, Lilia, yeah, they can sometimes lose translucency as you're adding semi-opaque glazes. And, if things get more opaque, that's okay. The goal in portrait painting is not to keep things translucent or to be, working within the glazing technique perfectly. The goal is to have a portrait you can be proud of. So if it ends up getting more opaque, that's okay because, many people do acrylic painting completely opaque. We just use a glazing technique because it really helps to preserve the likeness in the sketch and give it extra luminosity and depth. But if it gets a little opaque, no worries. So it's just a matter of working with what you have. And I would say, if you add some darker tonal values in the right place, you can then get these skin tones to work. Because currently the issue is not so much the opacity of the skin tones, it's more of that you don't have the darker values to complement them yet. So right here, this whole section needs to be darker. Shadow under the nose needs to be darker. This area here, although you have the form very nicely done, very nicely shaped, it just needs to be darker in here. Nasolabial fold needs to be darker as well. Some of these tones under the eyebrow and along, underneath that ridge, skull socket, all needs to be darkened. And then that'll help the rest of the skin tones to work. So that's the biggest thing I'm seeing. You could do a little bit of work just within the shape of the eyes, maybe just filling them out a little bit, the size a little small, that iris. But overall, the shape is very nice. eyebrow maybe could be just a little bit thicker, and you could use some warm skin tones on top, like a Pyro Orange, Raw Sienna, over the top of this eyebrow to kind of help it to blend in with the rest of everything else. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. It's just really getting in those darker values to have everything balance out. Now, regarding the rest of it, like the shadow that you have being cast from the paint brushes on the palette, the color is kind of greenish, so it matches the clothing, but that color really should be warmer in tone. So you would want to add like a burnt sienna, alizarin crimson glaze over that, a few glazes to really get that shadow color to be correct. And I think the hands, you actually have a nice sense of the structure and form. It's very well done, showing the way it's foreshortened and grasping the palette. Yeah, they could be a little lighter, but really I think before doing that, work on darkening her clothing. Get this separation between her chest and her arm here with raw umber dark and ultramarine blue. And that's going to help this part to stand out better. Right here, you're going to want to get more of these shadows in and darken that. And that's all going to help too. Shadows down here could be darker. So all of those things I think will really help. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Would you guys like to share any comments here for Lilia?
I'll just jump in with her mouth, Matt, of course.
Okay.
On the right side at the bottom, her lip is a little bit more straight across than what you have, Lilia. I think the top of the bottom lip just comes down a little bit more on the right side. There you go. It's so minor, but it does help change the look of her mouth.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Thank you, Della. All right. Appreciate that. So anyway, Lilia, I hope this all helps. We're gonna get going to another portrait, but continue the great work on it. I see you changed the background, and that's kind of a nice change you made to customize it. It's looking
She
really
has her up in the clouds, Matt. She is above the clouds.
Love it. That makes perfect sense. All right. Well, thank you for sharing this, Lilia, and I hope this all helps. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback. Yeah, let's move on. All right, my computer is just kind of freezing up a little bit here. Okay, let's take a look at Franny. Let's look at Franny's portrait here, and we're going to pull this up. Now, did Franny leave any comments at all on Facebook?
I'll just check.
Okay.
I won't be able to attend, but put mine at the end if you have time. I'd appreciate any critiques. The last critique, as I think you can see, made a dramatic difference. I'm having the most frustrating time smoothing out the dress shadow areas. This is always so hard for me with clothing, don't know why. I'm also sure the shadow on her face is too dark. Still working on our right side of her hair.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Stella.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, Franny, you've done a great job in this. Really has changed quite a bit from the last time we've seen it, and you've really gotten a great sense of the value structure. I love it when I see some good, strong, dark shadows showing the form of the face, and you really have that going down well. And also, she looks very happy. You've really captured that expression of happiness on her face. So regarding her clothing, since you asked about that, I think probably one of the things that could help you is when you're doing your brushwork on some subsequent glazes, just have the brushwork going more vertically, and you'll kind of balance out, this horizontal brushwork. So just getting some more glazes, having some go in the other direction will really help to smooth it out. But overall, it's looking quite nice. And maybe get a glaze in that has a little bit more raw sienna and Indian yellow in it in the mix, just to give it a little more richness. That'll help too. Now, regarding her face, I would say, you have her lips quite dark, So you might want to think about lightening up her bottom lip a little bit, using titanium white, pyro orange, and Indian yellow, and just really kind of lightening that up a little bit there. And then darkening her nasolabial fold to match some of the darker tones you have on her face. And I think those two things will help quite a bit. Looking at her eyebrows, overall, maybe just add a little bit more on the left side, a little bit more height on this upper eyelid fold crease, and the negative space, the white of the eye, and that sclera could be just a little bit more enhanced, a little bit larger, and a little lighter in value too, because the light is hitting that side. The teeth on the other side could be darkened a little bit, and raw umber dark and titanium white are really good colors for the shadows on teeth. She could use a little bit more mid-tone shading, so blending from these darkest values into the highlights. So I don't think your shadows are too dark. It's just you need a little more transition in some of these areas here. These surface shadows or surface shading need to be a little smoother. And so you can do that by basically mixing this tone, just kind of making it opaquely, using raw umber dark, pyro orange, maybe a bit of raw sienna, titanium white, and then mixing a mid-tone that has some of that same color plus more pyro orange, maybe a little naphthol red, and then blending out of that. So I think that's going to help. All right, let's get some feedback from you guys. Go ahead, your thoughts for Franny.
Could I just add to that mouth, Matt, that on the right side, the top lip comes straight across and it doesn't dip up like she has it?
Okay, let's really zoom in here so I can annotate this out. Top lip, yeah, you were saying what again?
On the right side.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's exactly what needs to be done. And it just straightened out a bit.
Okay, yeah. Great.
And, oh, Donnie, you had your hand up. Do you want to?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the mouth too. I think her teeth need some readjusting in shape. Those front teeth should line up the center of it with the center of her nose.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think on the left side, the one which like there's 3 there, and I think that third one is a little bit on the big side. You just shuffle to the right and then a little reshaping.
Yes.
Just like that.
Yes, it's a very common thing to paint teeth all the same size, but those front 2 teeth are the largest. And at least that's visually how they appear to us, because the other teeth are foreshortened as we're seeing them curve around the jaw. So we want to make sure we get those front 2 teeth looking bigger than the rest.
And the other thing that I was going to comment on the mouth is on the lip, like the red part of the lip, especially on the lower left side, and towards the corner, the value of that is a little bit on the dark side.
Yeah.
And so we've lost the depth in the corners and where we're seeing actually the back of her mouth, because we put that, because that tone, our value is all the same. If we lightened the lip,
Yep.
then the dark areas will give that 3-dimensional.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Thank you for that, Donna. And let's just zoom out a little bit. Look at everything else. Yeah, so the clothing, you're getting some good dark values there. You will want to round off the fingers just a little bit more here, but overall they're shaped nicely. Great job on the brushes, good detail. And maybe with the hair, just have a couple locks kind of curve in right here to break up that that strong shape there. But great job on this, Franny. I hope all this helps. All right, well, let's see, can we squeeze in one more?
I think we have time if we're quick.
All right, let's do that.
That's our last one, right?
Yeah, so this would be our last one here. So let's take a look at Marcia. Let's take a look at Marcia's portrait. All right, and I think that would be almost all of them. Okay. Well, Marcia, thanks for sharing this today. I don't know, Marcia, are you in the meeting by chance? Just so I
She's
have
not in the meeting and she doesn't have any comments.
Okay. Well, let's take
I
a
also
look.
see a Margaret.
Yes, yes. Margaret kind of she posted her portrait like just at the end, so it's only if we had time to get to it.
Okay.
I don't know if
Perfect.
we will, but Marcia, thanks for sharing this. Great job in the portrait. I love the smile you've given her. I like the expression in her eyes, and I like the contrast. I like that you have the palette lighter than her clothing, and the clothing, you know, darker than the skin tones. I do like the sense of blending you've achieved on her forehead. So that's very nicely done. Let's just take a look here and just help you know with a few of the forms on the face. I think one of the things that could help would be just kind of look at the structure of the eye and maybe get in, you know, some darker forms on the edge, bring up the upper eyelid fold a little bit. You just expand the iris a little bit wider than what it is, and especially on the eye on the right, that iris is just a little too narrow. See if you can widen that a little, that's going to help. Get a little more thickness. She does have very thin eyebrows, but there's a little more thickness there than what we're seeing. So just add a little more thickness on these eyebrows. Not saying necessarily make it a lot darker, but just a little thicker. And just use a skin tone color to do that. Now on the nose, we're seeing a little bit of a different structure in the reference photo, where we can see, you know, the nostril, and then we have the nose wing kind of going out from there below. It does come out wider in the reference photo than what you have in your painting. The mouth, I don't know, Della, if you want to mention anything about that, but we'll, you know, need a little bit of adjustment to the mouth to really get that sense of realism there and likeness. And like Donna was mentioning, you know, with the previous portrait, just really getting those teeth in the middle and getting them prominent enough, getting in the shadows and everything. The form of that lower lip, we're kind of missing that form. So it almost looks currently like she's biting her lip, or the lip's just not there. But if you add a glaze, you know, of like Pyrrole orange, a little bit of naphtha red, very faintly, and it looks like you're doing a great job going very light with your glazes. But if you add a little bit of that to the lower lip, you'll be able to give it more dimension. And then get those dark crevices in there. That's going to help. Biggest thing, Marcia, would be to really get some nice dark shadows here on her face, showing the forms, you know, so using, you know, some raw umber dark and so forth, like I show in the class, just to really show that structure of her cheekbone and her jaw and everything, and the separation between the accessory jugal fold and, you know, the chin. That's going to help a lot too. If you guys see anything you'd like to share, just raise your hand. We're going a little bit over time, so if you need to leave, I understand, no worries. Just want to make sure we can get this critique finished.
Primus has his hand up, Matt.
All right, great.
Matt, from my left, starting at the ear, don't go back, stay right where you are.
All right.
Starting on the left ear and go kind of straight down, follow that line, go all the way into the neck where it becomes a shape. It becomes a shape there, but it seems like that shape, that value change in there kind of forms, takes away from the roundness. What do I want to say? It straightens out that curve. That shape in there kind of straightens out that curve. It's not a line, It's a shape. And if that shape was in there, where she has more or less a line in there, if that shape was in there, I think it would help that face to kind of push it in a little. See
Okay.
what I mean?
I'm seeing a separation in the value on the jaw and then the neck.
Yes.
Yep.
Then that,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would help, because it looks like the way her portrait looks is that in the curve it kind of sags down, where in the reference it's more upward, more straighter and upward in there.
Yeah.
It's in that curve. If it was, yeah.
Yep.
That,
Right. Yep. A little more boxiness on the jaw. Okay.
that would help.
Yep. Thank you, Primus.
My pleasure.
All right. If anyone else would like to share, go ahead.
I don't see any hands up.
That's just fine. Let's zoom out a little bit and just take a look at the rest. So, Marcia, if you look at the palette and just really see that roundness of form, I think that's going to help too. And you can do that by using a glaze of maybe the clothing to accentuate that edge, and then use a semi-opaque or almost opaque layer of titanium white, raw sienna, and Indian yellow to bring out this form here. That's going to help just get that palette a little rounder. And then on the hands, you want to start getting in those shadows using raw umber dark and maybe a bit of ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. So really, you want to see that roundness of that palette and just try to get that form established more concretely there. Her clothing also kind of tapers in a little bit more at the bottom here, not a huge thing. And then one last comment would be to add some darker shadows to her clothing and really establish the difference between her chest and her arms and those wrinkles in there. So yeah, anyway, just a few comments for you, Marcia. I hope that all helps. And thanks for sharing this.
Primus, did you have your hand up again for another comment, or did I just forget to put it down?
I had it up again.
I thought so, yeah. Go ahead.
Not go to the top of her head, up with the where, yeah, pull down, yes. Now that one pulled down. Notice the difference? One is straight across, and the other one we got extra arrows.
Yep. Flattening that hair on the top, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. You bet. Yeah, very good.
That's it.
Okay. Well, thanks for that last comment there, Primus. All right. Well, I want to respect your guys' time today. And Marcia, I hope this all helps. And thank you everybody for joining today and sharing your portraits. Great to see your progress. You guys are doing a fantastic job. And we'll get that, well, we're working on getting the last lesson out. I'll be splitting it up into part 1 and part 2, just because this is a crazy busy week for my family and I. But we'll be getting at least the first part to lesson 8 out this week, and then the last part next week. So we're just kind of really spacing this out here. I appreciate your guys' patience, but you guys are doing a phenomenal job in your portraits. So keep up the great work. And yeah, would you guys like to share anything here at the end?
Well, I say thank you for having everyone on today and helping all the people you helped, Matt, and happy painting, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
God bless
you.
you guys. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Donna. Thanks,
Bye.
Paula.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.